All right. We are back at the podcast studio in Belmont, New Jersey. We just had a walkabout thinking that they were at the bagel store. We have a very special guest on today. We have Dan Trucano from Couch Braunsdorf Insurance. How are you today? How did I do on the name?
That was actually very good. It's mispronounced a lot, so I appreciate that. But yes, Couch Braunsdorf Insurance.
I actually wrote it how it should be.
Yeah,
not how it's spelled, but how it's said. So
exactly.
How are you today?
Good. Coming to your office when it's nice, but I'm seeing all my favorite eatery places right outside, and I don't know if I could work here because I'd be in there the entire time. So it's a very good spot to eat around here.
Here's a funny story. So most of the time I spend in Manasquan.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had a meeting here in Belmar, and it was a 9 o'clock meeting. Then I had an 11 o'clock meeting, and I said to my staff over at Manasquan, I said I'll be back, late morning because I had some stuff to do with them over there, and I didn't get back till about 2. And one of the girls said to me yesterday, she goes, Tom, what happened? I thought you were coming back. I said, I had an 11 o'clock meeting. I took here. And then I said, I really wanted Hogitos for lunch. And I said, I wanted to eat it warm. So I waited till 12:30 to eat my lunch. And then here I am. So It was kind of funny. Shout out to Hogitos. I'm a huge fan. And I live in Ocean Township. So there's one right over there, too.
Oh, yeah. So that's the one I think I was talking about. Not this one.
Yeah. So you're talking about the one that's in Ocean Township. And we were talking about Point Pleasant before we got on. They just opened the one in Point Pleasant, too.
Wow, they're growing, yeah. So I got them off of, I believe, when they first came around. It might have been on DoorDash or something.
Sure.
And my wife and I tried that. But it's weird. So coming here, I live in Hazlitt now. But coming down to, over the Belmar Bridge and stuff, it just really gut punches me when I'm like, wow, I'm getting older, or I am old now, because in my 20s, and I'm in my late 30s right now, this was my spot.
This is your spot.
My wife and my friends, and everything's changed. Every time I come here, I feel like there's something newer. There's more food spots now, so it's still a hot place. And
what's funny is Ryan Charterino, who we both know, he was on the podcast. That's how I got introduced to the Red Bank group. And he said he met his wife at 10th. They had their first date at 10th Avenue Burrito.
Yep.
So,
I've heard that story a million times. The food is like a clincher, by the way.
Small world. Everybody knows Belmar, New Jersey. So if you grew up in Jersey, everybody knows it. But we have a little, something in common. We both grew up on Long Island.
Long Island guys.
And a town away from each other.
Very close. When my family moved out here, it was for insurance work that we can get into later. And I think they thought some of our family would move from either, Brooklyn or Long Island.
That doesn't happen.
No, they thought we were aliens. When we moved here in New Jersey, people thought we were aliens, so it never happened. We moved in 94, so it was a very long time ago. But nobody moved out here besides us since then.
I don't think that most people don't leave Long Island.
No, they won't.
So it's kind of funny. My wife wanted to move out here, so 15 years ago, however long it's been, we moved out here, and my parents come like twice a year.
Yeah, that's the thing.
My brother's coming for the first time for Easter coming up. It probably in I want to say 7 years. So
if you think about it, the ride,
it's miserable.
Like the grit don't quit. It's legit. That's what it is.
The grit don't quit on the Bell Parkway and the Staten Island Expressway.
And I've been here since I was 6 years old, if I can remember how bad the Bell Parkway is. And it hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed.
It's not going to change.
Next weekend I have to go out for my brother's birthday, and I'm just dreading already.
We're always the ones who make the travel out anyway because of that.
That was kind of when you move out here, you have to travel back.
Yep. Exactly, 100%.
So, all right. So enough small talk about the great Long Island. But so how long have you been doing this?
Technically, since 2006 or 7 was my first internship in college.
Do you love it?
So what I do now, yeah, I do.
Now you're under a bigger umbrella, but you're an independent guy.
Yes.
So it's like owning your own business, but having a backbone, some stability. So it's not like you're just running your own shop. You're running your own shop, but under bigger.
With my own team and kind of like mingling, which is great, and they're awesome. They provide like a lot of resources that are hard. That you've spoken with other insurance guys too, where when you first start out, it is very tough in any business. But if you don't have the foundation behind you too, it's even harder.
Yeah.
Now, that's how you do it. That's how you make it. This just was a good spot for me. And when I started right out of college, if I can get into that, it's pretty funny. So my family's from and does insurance. I was one of 3 kids, and I said I will never do. I was the only one who said I will never do insurance.
And you're the only one doing insurance.
I'm the only one doing insurance. Dinner stunk growing up. Sorry, Mom, you see this? But she knows because they come back from insurance. They work together too in reinsurance. So it's a different beast, whole different animal, underwriting, something that I would never do. But it's a good career, good everything else. But that was dinner talk. So I made it a point in my head, I'm never going to do insurance. Fast forward, I graduated college in 2008. And you know how that market was. So I got, 5 or 6 interviews right out of there, and 3 of them were insurance. And I was like, oh no. My dad even said, hey, listen, try to maybe do something else if you don't like it. Got into insurance sales with the Liberty Mutual, which I'll connect with why the Couch Braunsdorf plan that I have right now is going well. And Liberty Mutual, which is changing a lot right now, but back in 2008, very good company. Paid well, but the biggest thing ever was it was one of the best known insurance training schools. They spend a lot of money per person. So I was 21 out of college and accepted the job. It was close. I was living in Freehold, still at my parents' house. They were at a Freehold. They paid well. I kind of knew insurance. And I was, you know what, this is a great fit. Did I know what I was getting myself into? No.
Nothing. Not at all.
But that boot camp and training that they put a lot of time and effort into, I got licensed right away, but the actual training, we went to Florida, Delaware, it like puts 5 years of experience of somebody, if you're on the independent side that I am now, into a year.
Wow.
So it really
like a boot camp.
Expedites it. It throws you out in the middle, like you're in a fishbowl, you could sink or swim, and then how they have you set up for your actual contract, I guess we'll call it, is every 6 months they could fire you. So you literally even know you want it or don't want it, and they also know that too. But it gives you good goals to hit if you want to continue with it. So that was at Liberty Mutual, which is like a captive. So I only had those options.
And how long did you stay there?
So 3 years.
Okay.
And then to be honest with you, I was speaking with my dad, and I was like 24 and stressed out like a 60-year-old guy, and he's like, this is not good. You're young, you're not married yet, you shouldn't be stressing out this much. There's a lot that goes into that too, but I started looking for territory sales because I knew I liked talking to people. I knew with my personality and my brain, I can't sit still all day. You saw me pacing when I walked in here. That's how my brain works. And I would talk to a bunch
I thought you were nervous when you first got here.
No, that's my norm. Another side thing, I'm not sure how good this is going to go over, but when I work from home, but when I'm on the phone all day,
you got to stand.
I walk.
Yeah.
And my wife hates me because she's a teacher, but I'll have like 11,000, my house is not large. I'll have 11,000 steps while working from home.
Because you're just walking around.
I'm on the phone.
But I feel like when you're on the phone working from home, you do walk around. Like I at my desk here or in Manasquan, I rarely get up and walk around when I'm on the phone. But at home, for some reason, I do. I don't know why.
Okay, good. Because
it's weird.
She'll ask me like, "How did you?" I'm like, "I don't even know where. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't leave the house today."
Look, the miles in my car.
I was on the
still
phone
the
with clients. I was on Zooms all day, and I was like,
yeah.
I didn't even know what happened. But yeah, so that was my introduction into insurance sales. And then I started looking for, after talking to agents and stuff, because I started looking for territory sale jobs, and I fell in love with it. That was really, to this day, I loved territory sales. The reason why is every day is different, so that actually helps me.
Sure.
That's what I like. I met basically new people every single day.
That is nice.
I loved it. It was not the same. I'm one of those guys or people that if it's redundant and stuff, not that I get bored, but I think I do get bored, and I'm not putting my best effort in, or my energy's low.
Yeah.
When I'm meeting new people, my energy's high, sometimes too high. But
so you've never met a stranger.
No, exactly. That sounds good. Yeah. That's another thing my wife would say. We have everybody somehow, either we run into each other, either I've met them, they've met me, or they feel like we've met. So I think that was one of my good parts and why I liked and enjoy the insurance sales part.
Now insurance is boring. You're okay with that?
I am okay with that because that's part of my gimmick right now. I'll call it a gimmick. I don't talk insurance. And a lot of my clients, and you actually know some of them now, they ask me to help them with their insurance, the business owners, which I actually take as a compliment.
Sure.
But I grew up, and my mom being an underwriter, and to this day she would say she doesn't like a lot of agents or brokers. She's on the underwriting side. They send in this and that. They don't do the. So I have like a good mix of underwriting. Like I know the right things to do, and then on the sales side, it's the relationship part. So that's kind of helped me mix it and make it fun and not insurance is boring. It's black and white. Nobody, including myself, wants to pay for insurance.
No.
But you do want to transfer risk. So that's why I like working with the business owners, because I'm like, hey, if this goes out, don't you rather pay your deductible of $2,500 and then have them pay the $100,000?
Transfer of risk is a good word. Like, I think that's the way to say it. Like, because when you think about insurance, you're like, I got to write another check.
Yeah, you're
like,
paying.
this stinks, whatever. But like when you transfer risk, it makes it sound so much more official.
Better. And then what I try to do is, especially with business owners like yourself, is I give examples. So I don't talk about policy coverage. You can go, unless you want to, I could go into it, but nobody wants to hear that. And you're not going to know what it says anyway.
No.
So I always give examples. When I'm doing a due diligence review, just say I had all your policies, I would do a due diligence review. I just give it a claims example, and it always is like a bullet point or two where their eyes are like, what? So, if a pipe bursts in your property that you own and your business is shut down for 4 or 5 days, how does that hurt your wallet? If you don't have insurance or the right coverages, that gets reimbursed or it fills it right away. It's not like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have payroll, I have this and that.
Yeah.
So when I give those kind of claim scenarios or something happens, they're like, oh, okay. Do you rather pay your deductible or do you rather pay? I always ask, like, how much would you lose if your computer system went down? Especially nowadays with cyber insurance, that's one of my main things right now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I had to lose thousands of dollars a day, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
So I try to relate it that way, and we don't really talk in detail because nobody knows, nobody wants to know. So
cyber insurance is like that.
Yep, and Charterina, that we both know, shout out to Brian Charterina, he is seeing it on his business owner side because 5 years ago, to be honest with you, 5 or 6 years ago, I even said, it's a throw-in. It was inexpensive. What does it cover? Who knows? Still to this day, every company's different. There's no standardized form, which is, see, there's my insurance lingo going boring, but there's no standardized coverages. So every company's different. But in the last 3 to 4 years, the most claims that we're seeing, and we're a large brokerage, not just my book of business, but like everybody's, EPLI claims, which I can get into later, and cyber. And it's because, years ago you'll see on the news, Bank of America, Yahoo, Wells Fargo, all these companies are getting hacked. They're stealing hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of clients, and those were ones that were protected, those companies. Now it's like the small businesses. It's your accounting.
Though, it's easier to, I think, if I was a cyber criminal, which I'm not. I just want to clarify, I'm not a cyber criminal.
That's his hobby, not the...
my side hustle. Yeah. I think it's easier to go after the small business.
It is.
The guy, especially when you look at and I don't know why anyone does this, but like when they use a Yahoo account or an AOL account for their business. You use an AOL account for your business, it means you know nothing about email and email security. So a cyber guy, a cyber hacker is like, go after those guys first.
So after they crack the big ones, we're the easy ones. And if you think about it, in my side, financial services, like accounting, insurance companies, anybody in that kind of field, we have names, birthdays, socials, we have your account information. Now, if we're not protected, which Catch Braunsdorf is, you're in trouble. So what we're finding out is, for a quick claims scenario in this, there's a large accounting firm that we have. And April 15th, everybody knows that date, tax man comes, right? So they expect X revenue from all their clients. They were a very large accounting firm, like over 7 that combined too. So they're waiting, and their business managers are looking, and it's like April 15th. They usually have X amount. Like, oh, this is weird. It's not refreshing correctly because it's saying like $8. Just say they're like, there should be 125,000 here or something. And then they kept going 3 days, and then they finally start, what's going on? And clients, they have the actual receipts saying, yeah, paid. Well, what they do is there's teams out there, and this is what their job is. It's, hey, we sit here in this office, there's 10 of us, and their goal is to get into the system. I'm not tech savvy, you are, but to crack a code and things like that is easier than ever. Especially with this AI stuff going on, they could just run a million things. So what happens is they cracked into there. What they do is, especially in the financial services or accounting side, they'll look for like 4 months, just track you. You probably might have ran into this or seen it. They track you for 3 or 4 months. They see how you email back to clients. They see what you email clients. They see how you respond. So for this scenario, they knew when the monies were coming. All they did was change that account information on that link that they were sending out. And every time Dan Trucano went to go pay for his taxes through that link, it just got routed to another place, just not theirs. And they were out all of that money. And
it's awful.
So we had them protected, but they also have to go search for it. So that could devastate any business, obviously, if that's what your work is. So that's where cyber, like you said, and EPLI, which I thought I would never talk about those two coverages in 2008, it's what I talk about. I lead with cyber.
So give people a rundown of what EPLI is.
So it's employee practices, but to go over it, it's basically for if you're a business owner, in my risk management and what I know nerd brain for insurance is, it's for like wrongful termination. You could have said something to me, to anybody, not that you would or have. You could say something that you think is a joke, and somebody takes, especially in today's society, can take very serious where you hurt their feelings and something like that. They could sue you for that. You could have fired somebody for not producing or not doing their job description for 6 months. Mm-hmm. They said they were the best. They could sue you for that. We're seeing a lot more of that, unfortunately, especially when the markets were going up and down. People were getting hired and fired. They staffed up very large, then they had to let go. So that's where our uptick came for EPLI claims. So it's very important to have that. And a lot of times it's not that expensive, but it's just, to me, a necessity, because those are 2 of the 3 top claim scenarios right now that we see on a weekly basis.
It's crazy to think commercial auto is not the number one.
Well, I mean, so in New Jersey, it's the most probably paid out, but the most that come in or get tapped on is like the EPLI and cyber.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. And cyber is almost every day, but EPLI big time.
Yep. So now you're in it you've been in this game now for 15 plus years. Yeah. You said you're never going to do it. You're in it. Can you see yourself doing anything else, or is this it? Is this the game?
No, this is it. It's a good question, though, because I said for the first 10 years, I was on territory sales. I loved it. And I said I would never do that, because if I ever did it, I have to be all in. And to get to that, it's a good transition. I did territory sales. It was just me. I was engaged. Then we got married, and the life was awesome. I loved that kind of structure. It was my time. It was my own business, but it wasn't where I set up my time, my meetings. I had my goals and quota, and if I hit that, you're great. You're a rock star. It was very comfortable. But as I got at the end of my 20s and early 30s, every broker that I was visiting was either A, trying to hire me, or going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? And I knew what they meant. I'd go to all the insurance conventions and like, Dan, what are you doing? And I'm like, I love it. I did love it. But it's like I was sending relationships that could generate a lot of revenue to some of these brokers. I, sent personal friends and family in there. I had my licenses. And basically the bottom line was I was just too chicken, because I was so comfortable that I was like, I know I have a ceiling money-wise no matter what bonuses I hit. And when you're in territory sales, you're the first that can get cut, even if you are a rock star. It's in any business, not just insurance. They're like, okay, we could save X amount of 6 figures to implement here. And how everything was changing, especially COVID-wise, you weren't allowed to even visit brokers. So that gave me a little bit of a push. And one of the main guys at Braunsdorf right now, was like, I sent him another relationship. He's like, you gotta sit down with me. And I sat down and we talked. And he's like, "Do you know what you've sent me?" I'm like, "Technically, yes, but no." I looked at it. He's like, "This is what you should be already have." Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't sending him an auto and home. I was sending very large partnerships, which is what the goal is technically in my business. And I knew it. And then I was like, you know what? He's right. And then the market was going. I was already selling and building the book on the side from 2017. So I took the jump.
Took the leap.
Took the leap. Is it a grind? Yeah. But I like it. And it's something that I could do daily and not get bored of. You can't get bored in my head.
Yep.
This. It's literally different every minute. So
So
that's one of the reasons why I stuck.
So now you went from making a set salary, regardless of really what you did. If you were a rock star, you got paid that. If you were a non-rock star, you got paid that.
I knew it was coming. I knew what was coming.
You meet these guys and they're like, take the jump. So now you went from every Friday or every other Friday getting a direct deposit in your bank account, and now you're like, I gotta start selling.
100%.
So the good thing is you had a team behind you. You have a ton of experience because you've been doing this. But now you have to get out there and start hustling and getting people to sign at the line on that dotted line here.
Exactly.
Like, So what happens on day one?
So I kind of went in there with a little bit of a plan because I was nervous. I was like, and I always made these changes on companies, or not careers, but companies. Where my wife now, I brought her up 3 times already, so I'm not sure about this, but she.
Shout out to Dan's wife.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry.
Kerry, thank you
she
for
deals with me
for steering this guy in the right direction.
Yeah, she deals with me. But I made the leap. I was like, okay, I have to make this work.
Did you have children by the time you?
And this is what happened. So we were trying, and then she was pregnant. And this is when I started to say, I made it. She's like, this is not a good time. And I was like, you know what? It's never going to be a good time. All the brokers always told me that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, Dan, you're never going to have a good time to do this. And I was like,
the good time was when you were 22.
Yeah, and just mess up for 5 years, and then I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But there's never a good time. So when I did that, it gave me more motivation, but more structure in my brain. Like, okay, now you
had to do it.
Got to do it.
You couldn't fail.
Couldn't fail, and I was good to be uncomfortable then. That helped me. Like, I was very comfortable before that because I was like, oh, I get to make my schedule. I'm doing good here. The company likes me.
Everything was smooth.
I can do whatever I want. Go to Belmar every Friday and Saturday, and Monday I'm good.
Yeah.
So when this happened, it gave me the extra push and be like, yes, now.
Have to get my ass in gear here.
Have to, and it's good.
So it worked out.
Worked out. It's working out.
So it's working out. So now let me ask something. You go back to, you said when you were growing up you were never going to do this, and you said you have 2 siblings. What do they do?
So my sister is head of HR at one of the companies.
Cool.
She's very good. She's younger than me by 8.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And she is very motivated and does very well. And my brother is like a lead guy at a wealth management firm.
Oh, cool.
So it's not insurance, because I always I say, hey, but he was always going to be like a money guy. He was talking about that when I didn't even want to talk about it when he was like 7 and 8.
Yeah,
so
he was
he's in where he should be.
Is he older than you?
No, he's the middle. He's the middle. He says he was neglected for his whole life, but
so he's got the finances going on. She's got HR, and you're in insurance.
We should join. You know what? We should make our own company.
There you go.
It made sense.
You're almost there. You're almost like a PEO.
Yeah, PEO. Good one.
So all right. So now you're here, and now you're liking it, and you've drummed up a book of business, and you have. I know that people refer you all the time because I know some of the guys that refer you. And how do you grow? How do you consistently grow your book of business?
Yeah. So my main thing has been through. I used to do, and there's no knock on it. I used to do a lot of B&I with tip, and I still think those are great. But what I found that was working for me was I kind of like the group that you're in. I've gotten into a few of those where it's not a referral group. It's more like we're a team. It sounds cliche, but I've been around a lot of groups that I said no to or been in and out of. And over the last 3 years, 4 years, that's where it comes in, where I'm the expert. But you guys, for instance, our group, you guys are the experts in yours. So I just literally flipped it in using whoever I'm in the groups with or who I trust as my value to clients. So, I'm not making money off it, but I don't care because when I do that and they're happy, they're referring me. So a
Sure.
lot of it's from like my clients who I've helped. And I just built a web of like really good people to work with where we all trust each other and it's almost like a side company.
Yep. How did you get involved with the one in Red Bank?
So our friend, Ryan Charterita, we were in multiple groups together.
Okay.
I really believe in what he does, and he's a genuine person too. So whenever he recommends something, I listen to it.
Sure.
And we were in a prior group that we didn't agree with a lot of the things, and he gave me a call one day and was like, "Hey, I want to start something like this," and I was like, "That sounds great." And we're going to use it as more of like, not, hey, give me a referral, I'll give you 2. It's more of like, here's what we do, but how can we help each other, and really make it more like a company or team aspect, and tackle clients to give them solutions for what their needs are at that point. When he said that, I was like, yeah. And then the group that you're in now, that's similar to a few others. They take off because it's genuine. A lot of stuff is phony. I ran into over the last 15 years.
Sure.
A lot of stuff is just to check the box.
Yeah.
And I was too busy on almost like the service side. We have a whole service team, which is part of my goal to kind of get off of that as much, but it was too much of checking the box, and it wasn't really organizing our team, and even the clients weren't getting handled correctly, I would say, from some of the things I was involved in. And then over the last 3 years, I've transitioned into like it's more smoother, easier, and a better fit.
Cool. So that's a great way to go, so that you're finding these trusted advisors to be able to, tell them your name when they have a question, and you share their name when someone has a question, has a need for one of the other guys. And I think that I see that, in that in that group, and that people are always trying to connect.
Yeah, and in a good way. A big part with the insurance game too that I utilized, and I think that's why I get good referrals, we'll call them, or clients, is I always ask, like, how's your relationship with your broker? And a lot of businesses started, and I'm finding this out, in the 80s or 90s, and now they're getting passed down to either their kids or somebody else, and they're like, oh, I don't, maybe once a year we talk, and I have to pay a bill or do this. And I'm like, okay, but there's a lot of things changing. They should at least quarterly or check in with you. And when I hear that, I don't go after their policies. I say, here's what we would bring to you. Here's what I could bring to you. Here's my phone number too. I know everybody gives their number, but here's my cell. Which goes a long time because they just want to contact. They want to communicate.
Sure.
So that's helped me out with just trying to be accessible to them. And it's and that's really how I've grown, like, that way.
That's great. So now, where do you see the next phase of your?
Probably branding through Wingman for myself.
Shout out to Wingman here today. That was a bonus. I didn't know that was coming. That was not a trick question to him.
You talked about very highly. Everybody does well with you too. I know you're genuine, but yeah, because I need to do more of. One of the main questions I get, I'm the insurance guy to friends, family, but they don't even know what I do most of the time because I used to separate it more. I used to be like, here's what I do, and then here, but I don't really promote it as much, and that's my goal in 2025. That's kind of how we're linking up as well. But
you'll be like the GOAT.
I saw the GOAT in the Red Bank, right? I'm gonna brand a little bit differently than that, but yeah, I need to let them know because like, Dan, what do you do? They're like, I know you do insurance, so like I'll have, for businesses where I niche down. Yep. They didn't even know that mostly before 2 or 3 years ago because I was so separated. But that's why I need to get out there. Like you have the brand. You have to have your thing. You got to be able to do it. So that's where I see the next year and 2 going to expand.
But that'd be great because then you keep just growing that book of business.
Oh yeah, and that's my goal. So I need to just be able to put a face with what I do as well.
Totally. And again, you're looking at it from a different lens. Like, you want to be out there talking to people. You want to be out there helping business owners, look at how to do this the best way.
100%.
And there's some guys that just don't have a clue, and some guys that, but it's got to be something that, as much as I don't love to talk insurance, like, it's important to talk about it. It's important to think about it. Do you have the right coverages? And as you expand, again, some guys have the same policy they had from 10 years ago, and I know that I had to do an insurance audit this past year.
They're never fun.
They're never fun, but on top of that, it makes you think. if nothing else, it makes you think.
Yeah, as a business owner, that's why I enjoyed transitioning from personal lines,
Yep.
which is more transactional. It's there, we do it. I have a whole team who handles that as well.
Yep.
That are great. But for the businesses, it was very interesting to me because every business is different. So
Yep.
I learned that because I didn't grow up in an entrepreneur type of household. It was corporate.
Yep.
It was you get up early, you shower, change, you go to work, you work your butt off, come back home. And then that's what...
Eat dinner, talk about insurance.
Talk about insurance.
Talk about insurance at the kitchen table.
Exactly. Belmore, New York, too. So meeting with like, even your business, how that started, everything that... It was interesting. And then you're talking about insurance, but I try to stay away from like the details. That's where you have to trust me and I'll handle that.
Yep.
But it's really like, hey, you have a huge gap here. They didn't even know that.
Yeah.
The cyber thing. It's really technically still a new coverage. So many businesses that I get introduced to, I'm like, where's your cyber policy? We don't have one. I'm like...
What I want to do with you, and I said this to you when I last saw you in person, and I'll put it on the podcast so that I know to make sure we do it. I want to have a lunch and learn here where we bring in like pizza or 10th Ave or Hokitos. Yep. You can pick where we get it from. And we invite like 10 business owners here to go over kind of like cyber because I think that that's a bigger liability than everybody thinks about. And like, 100%. And again, I don't want you to bore these guys, but I want them to understand just from a protection standpoint. And again, I'd love the learning too. Like, this is what it's all about. This is what you need. This is what you got to be thinking about because I think that there's more bad stuff to come.
It's huge. It's still changing. Like I said, there's not even a normal, like in New Jersey, you have to file for home insurance policy if you're a carrier. So everybody has like just say a set of standards that they have to have if they want to sell home insurance. In cyber, it's not regulated as far as everybody has to go off of a form yet.
Yeah.
So, and I would love to do a talk like that because it's not boring, and I go over. Cyber is actually not boring to talk about insurance-wise.
So let me just ask you: have you thought about where we're going to get the lunch from?
Yes.
That's probably the most important on my mind.
When I saw all of these places, like I walked in, I was like, why don't we just do a little bit of both, 10 burrito and Hokitos? Because I like variety.
There you go. So Hokitos side, 10th Ave side, and then 10 people around the table.
Exactly.
I think that'd be good though because I just think a lot of people. It's not on everyone's mind. I think it needs to be.
You don't know what you don't know, which is a cliche, but when your company gets hit through the cyber part, one of our largest clients, I can't say the name, but if you get hit there and you have 4,000 computers, 4,000 phones, that number, no matter how wealthy you are as a business or business owner,
it hurts.
It hurts. And I've seen it, and I've seen the number. So when I give a claim scenario and show the number, people, that opens up eyes. And they're like, wait, what is mine?
Yeah, it just makes you kind of cringe.
It's scary.
So we're definitely going to do that in the spring.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I love that idea. So as we wrap up today, what other things can you tell a young guy who's in their 20s, young guy or girl in their 20s, coming out of college, thinking about not ready to jump into full entrepreneurship, but you kind of went into a program, then went into, now you're on your own under an umbrella. Kind of give your thoughts on that person that's not ready to just be like me and just go, oh yeah, let's just go jump in and have,
100%.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I actually wish I had this opportunity that we have at like Couch Braunsdorf. So, we will have you set up if you're newer. It's a good business to be in. It is an older business.
So there's a lot of room.
There's a lot of room and money to be made
for new guys.
For new guys. I was always the youngest person ever in any of these. I'm not anymore, and it's weird, but I used to be like, where is anybody within 5 years of my age? And there was never anybody.
Yeah.
Because I started, I guess, young in the business. But we're trying to do that too. But at Couch Brownsdorf, what I recommend for anybody young who would want to be either build their own book or sell, you like talking to people, and the landscape is changing on insurance. Couch Brownsdorf is good because we could start you out in different departments where you actually kind of learn, but you're not learning to fail, and money-wise, you're really learning. It's almost like a college for insurance.
That's good.
We send a lot of the newer producers that want to do it. You could go back in commercial. You learn a lot. Personal lines. We have a professional liability side. There's a lot of different areas. If you're young and want to tip your foot into it, it's a good spot because there's a lot of different places that you could even get into.
Cool. And now if people wanted to reach out to you directly to learn more about insurance, learn more about opportunities, connect with you, how do they do that?
The best, you can do it through Instagram if you want to do that. It's at Trucano. I'm not sure if I should give it my cell phone right here.
You
or
can
my
if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm always down for a call or a text if you want to learn anything. 732-762-8600.
Oh,
and
finally, I got his number. There you go.
and I have a few websites that NewJerseyShoreInsurance.com that I could put if you want to throw it on there.
Sure, New Jersey Shore Insurance.com. All right, cool. We'll put that in the notes. Dan, thanks for coming on today. It was a great conversation, and I look forward to hearing continued success.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks.